I hope to.
Yes, I'm ready whenever you are.
It is at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
Yep.
The agenda says 7:30.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was from last week, and I just updated the date, and I didn't even pay attention. So it's 7. Sorry.
So we'll call the meeting to order, recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Segwani and Cassie aren't here. Could we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Go ahead.
Which one? Matt? Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Ordinance work. Now this is updating what we did at the last meeting.
Yeah, so I guess which one do we want to start with? Let's start with Bess. Bess? Okay. So on the Bess, one of the first updates was conditional use permit requirements for tier 2 Bess. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The decommissioning plan. So originally it had 150,000 in it. So doing some research, there's a lot of different variables involved in it, depending on how big it is, what type of fire suppression they're going to have, those different variables. The types of batteries, who the manufacturer of the batteries are, they're not all equivalent. So I changed it, rather than just changing it to a percentage, because you really couldn't come up, I guess, with a good percentage. And again, it can be edited again, but I switched it from being that to maintaining the $150,000 minimum cash bond or 5%, whichever is higher. Because obviously if the scope of the project is way bigger than this under the tier 2, because it goes up to megawatts, kilowatts and megawatts. Once it starts to get up into the megawatts, a lot of it increases substantially.
How does a cash bond work?
Well, I guess that would be between the insurance company and the county. So they would have to get a bond through an insurance company, and they would have to pay for that bond, and then you guys would be listed as insured on it.
Okay.
Do you have any idea, 5%, what would the project cost? Any idea?
No idea. I mean, it could vary from, $1.5 million for a small one up to $6 million for a larger one.
They give us an estimate when they do permits.
Right.
So we'll go off of that.
So the reason I picked 5% is because in the North Dakota Century Code, a lot of their minimum cash bonds are 5%. So I just matched that.
Some of the research, I think some of these facilities are massive.
Right.
Massive facilities.
Right. I mean, so if it's a $30 million one.
But it wouldn't be like hundreds of millions.
I wouldn't think the bond would be, if it's 5% of 30 million, what would that come out to?
150,000.
Right. So I mean, that if you.
The company that contacted me,
Mhm.
a couple months ago that I told you guys about, said that their project cost is upwards of $300 million.
Right. So
So
what would 5%?
1.5 million.
So that would be the bond amount. What that bond would cost them might not be that much.
No.
I had to get a $900,000 bond for a project I did, and I paid $8,600 for it.
15 million?
Mhm.
Yeah, but they buy that through an insurance company at a percentage of that.
Right.
Yep.
Which
I guess what I'm getting at is, would the bond be prohibitively high?
I don't think so. I mean, across the board, looking from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, everybody does it. I mean, it's not an uncommon thing, especially with the, I mean, if you look through it and even look up the fire codes in it, some of the fire codes don't even apply to the refinery. In the refinery, you know, they could go up and it's all petroleum. So some of the stuff with these lithium batteries, because there's fire suppression stuff that works specifically on petroleum products at the refinery. There's not any particular chemicals that just put out a lithium ion fire. Once it gets started, it goes until the chemicals burn down to a ratio to where they don't combust anymore.
What kind of risks are there with a battery storage
It
facility?
depends, it's high risk. That's why there's so many stipulations and regulations on it. And I've got,
When lithium
in this-
burns, does it turn into something else?
I imagine it produces a lot of different noxious chemicals.
So,
I mean, they do mention the environmental impact in a lot of this stuff. I want to say we even mention stuff with greenhouse gases, because when we say it starts burning, all of that pollution obviously is considered a atmospheric pollutant. I mean, it's,
Now, that's in the case of a fire.
right,
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why there's so many safety precautions around the whole industry involved in it, with this fire suppression system, the constant monitoring, the testing of the batteries on an annual basis to make sure they're performing as they were manufactured to perform, and if they're not, they have to be replaced. Because if the system ever has, you know, a different segment of it go down, it's got redundancy, so sections of it cannot operate if it's got a bad part, but it still has to be maintained. They can't just say, okay, we'll just replace those batteries in 3 years. It has to be done immediately in order for it to function like it was designed.
well, I mean, even now, take just, your local garbage disposal. Haul batteries to Bismarck. They find a little
Goose.
AAA battery in your garbage, that's supposed to go to a whole separate disposal site.
Yep.
I'm gonna go even at the Bismarck.
Google says hydrogen fluoride, carbon monoxide, methane, hydrogen cyanide, formaldehyde, and various organic solvents like ethylene and propane.
So I mean, there's risk of leaching and fire and explosion and a lot of different areas that I think are way above, without having a scientific engineer come in here and tell you what all it would do or could do. That's why we're trying to get something slowed down so we can at least get studies and figure out. I think is our main avenue here, right? Just to, so we can understand it. Because I don't, is the one in Underwood, is that a go? Is there one in Falkirk, or is that supposed to be a go with Falkirk?
I think so.
Think so? Last
So
we heard,
even-
yes.
Even one of the requirements under, this section 4.1, be on the third page, so the top of the next page after that.
Under which one now?
So the section's 4.1, that continues on the backside and then goes on to the second whole page. But the last one is the greenhouse gas emissions calculation for the best life cycle per that D&D requirement. And it's gotta be submitted with the permit application to assess the environmental impact. So even if I'm just being there, I mean, it puts off a little bit of something. So I guess myself, I don't see a problem with it because it's most of the stuff besides the erosion control and the trees and the easements and the need board, that stuff has all been specifically landowner concerned, other board members' concerns. All the rest of this stuff comes from all over the United States, from all different companies that do this stuff, people that build it.
The liability insurance, is that like a standard amount, 5 million?
Yep. I think the next one we had an edit for was still under. Conditional use permit requirements for tier 2 vests.
That is set now.
It'd be 3 more down. We wanted to have the certified letter sent, 2-mile radius of the project perimeter. That edit got put in.
Yeah.
I did add a definition for project area into this also, because I had a lot of people mention to me that nobody really can say what areas are affected. People talk about the easements, they talk about where the connectors are at, where the substations are at, what roads they've messed with, section line they've adjusted. So to, I guess, have the definition so that everybody understands what we mean when we're talking about these industrial areas where they want to put the windmills, the best facilities, project area, location of permitted structures, any access roads, easements, collector lines, substations, or transmission lines. That would be considered the project area. I think your road modifications that get done would still fall under the road use permit.
No.
Correct.
And as long as this stipulates they need to follow the road use permit, then they would be covered. So did you guys find and read where that said that? Public hearing and notification process per article, section 17.3, including proof of notification to adjacent landowners by certified mailing within a 2-mile radius of project area with application. So if the BES is in this field, but they're using section lines or anything like that, they're extending their project area out. So that means
2 miles from that point.
2 miles from that point, not from where the batteries are. So I had a note and an add-in under environmental agricultural protections for property damage to neighbors' fencing, structures, and vested liability. So I guess I put 2 things in here to cover that. And one of them, those are specifically listed out. But that's where the liability insurance requirement got added in under the conditional use permit requirements, to where liability insurance, the best applicant shall provide proof of commercial general liability insurance policy with a minimum coverage of $5 million per occurrence. This policy must explicitly cover damages caused by fire, originating from the best facility, including but not limited to impacts on agricultural land, fences, structures, equipment, tree wind blocks, and live snow fences on participating and non-participating properties. The insurance policy shall name Oliver County and affected landowners as additional insured parties and remain in effect throughout the operational life of the BES and during decommissioning. Proof of insurance includes a certificate of insurance shall be submitted annually to the Oliver County Planning and Zoning Department. So that's added in.
I have a question on insurance. Say there was a fire, but it wasn't started by the battery, so no prairie fire went through. Would that be excluded from their coverage? I mean,
Their battery facility would be covered by their insurance, but they couldn't be held liable for any landowner damage.
Right.
Because it has to originate from the best facility.
storage.
I mean, it could be a light pole gets knocked over and it starts a grass fire, it's still liable. It doesn't have to be a battery on fire. Anything on their property starts a fire.
But even so, the way it's worded here, if that, say, fire, would damage their facility, they're eligible to get into that insurance policy too. Even the best facility.
And what insurance policy?
the one they're carrying.
It's their insurance, so yeah, I mean.
Proof of insurance included certificate of insurance shall be submitted and added to Oliver County zoning plan. You know,
Right,
so if the neighbor starts a prairie fire,
we would have to sue the neighbor.
or all,
Yeah, we're not gonna write the ordinance for the best to get money from the landowner.
But we would still be covered.
you know, and that covers
The
us.
damages if it's
Not
a
if
fire.
if it starts with anybody else's property. If it's a farmer's fire, if it's
That'd
a
be
rancher's
their
fire,
insurance.
it would be their ranch insurance that would have to cover it. And if it started a wildfire and burnt down somebody's tree row or a snow fence, then the county and the neighbor would have to go to that rancher
Right.
compensation.
Yeah, I didn't think of that through.
Yeah, any fire that starts inside the property of that best facility
The
because
reason
of,
I'm asking is like, if there's a prairie fire that goes through the facility and then the batteries start on fire, all the stuff that's released from those fires.
well, then that would probably be a instance where the county insurance company is gonna have to deal with the best insurance company because according to the ordinance, the fire system that this is requiring them have failed, and it would still be their fault if it made it 100% work. So yeah, I guess in that scenario, it would be a wildfire that the county is actively trying to put out, but now they can't because the battery's caught on fire.
Right.
And if the batteries catch on fire, it's gonna be because their fire protection system failed,
Okay,
not because of the wildfire.
all right.
That one got in. I guess on section 9, under notifications, for section 7, I guess decommissioning, after that one. So section 9 is notification. So I did not take that operators must notify the Oliver County Board of Commissioners, local township boards, the Oliver County Soil Conservation District, weed board, water board, and municipalities within 2 miles of the best facility at least 60 days prior to construction. So, I don't know, I don't feel like that's asking too much, just so everybody in the area knows they're about to start up, and all these trucks are just gonna start coming in to do this work. I mean, it's just a notification.
You could probably take local township boards out because we have no organized townships in the county. I just saw that one in there and other counties it applies to, but we're entirely unorganized here, so.
Thank goodness. My
Yeah.
job would be a lot harder.
We get everybody's.
So in this 30-day notification that we talked about, it shows up under notification too. It says notification must include project details, 30-day public comment period, and a public hearing scheduled by the Oliver County Planning and Zoning Commission. Proof of notification to landowners by certified mail with application.
Yeah, I think we discussed that, or you guys discussed
Right. So they got changed from the 45
45
days to the 30 to try to be fair to both sides.
So, this is just me asking a clarification question. In this first part, it's prior to construction, 60 days prior to construction, but this second portion, notification, project details, 30-day comment period, and a public hearing. Is
So-
that prior
so
to
this
permit
notification-
approval?
No, the notification section is just laying out the notifications they're required to do.
Okay, that's kind of what I'm asking. So this second notification, you're
So they
saying
have
we're
to-
gonna have another public
So
hearing prior to
they would have
construction?
they would have to have 2 notifications. They would
Okay.
have one 60 days prior to any construction,
Yep.
and another requirement would be the 30-day public comment.
Prior
It can be
to the,
moved, but it just is
Would
put
that
under
be
the
before
notification.
the-
yeah, it was just,
That's what you're asking, is it, do they have their permit, right? Is that what you're asking?
that's kind of where I'm Yeah, these 60 days prior to construction, they would have already gotten permit
Permitted
approval.
and everything.
Right, so that's not, I guess, it's not a, one that they have to prove they did, it's just a courtesy notification.
So should we put the notification must include project details on the first bullet point and then the 60-day one after that?
Or we put it underneath
Yeah, because you're
the
gonna
conditional use permit section.
I would say that second one should probably go under the conditional use permit application portion because
Right.
this the public hearing portion is where I'm getting kind of caught up on,
Okay.
because if I read the first one and then you read the second one, it's almost like they have to do a public hearing prior to construction. If you're reading it, you know,
That way.
go to, from this one to this one, that's what it looks like to me, but it doesn't specifically say that, so I just wanna make sure that if somebody calls me and asks, and they're like, well, didn't we have a public hearing for our permit, why do we have to have another one?
you know,
Right.
So,
well, and it makes it sound like you've already got the permit, now you're gonna have a public hearing.
that's kinda how I read
There's
it,
a
but.
public hearing section under conditional.
Well, I was gonna say if he wants to just like add the 30-day to it, it's pretty much the same, saying the same thing.
So we just wanna add the 30 days into the conditional
For
use
public,
one?
yeah. I think that would, help clarify,
Take that one.
and then just take that one out.
Yeah, and then just remove this
That
Number
number
two.
point, yeah.
That second part under section 9.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Still keep the first bullet point,
Yeah, yeah.
but not the second.
Alright, that was all the edits we had on the desk.
Okay.
So you're gonna change the 30-day comment period
Well, I'm gonna move the 30-day to the
to the conditional.
conditional use permit section.
Just kind of add it to the one.
And then when this gets finalized, these will all have numbers there, the one that's dots.
Okay,
You can do dots later. You don't have to change the numbers when you add other stuff.
You wanna make a motion to amend these again, or?
Yeah, we're to the point where we have to make a motion on anything?
No.
Yeah, this is still just work.
This work section, and it's, okay.
everybody okay with it then?
Do we want to open for comments specifically for Bess, or do we want to wait until after we're done with
I
both?
think since we got,
Best, we should.
We're doing one at a time, so
so
that
that
we
we
have.
have, since we have guests here, can we open?
That's kind of where I was going with that, if anybody has comments, so.
Oh, and I will mention before we move on. If you look at I did the trees. So healthy trees exactly the same in wind and yes. So those are gonna be the ones that now that we turn it down and lock down. We'll
It'll
just
be
copy into each
consistent
one.
across
Yeah.
each.
So we did have the comments about, well, there were several comments about the trees and people not wanting them and whatnot. So
What section is that under?
it is under the agriculture, environmental and agricultural protection.
Yeah. It's a very large,
Yes, the big one.
it's a very large one.
Six. Under section 6.
So the way I changed it, now it says the applicant shall minimize tree removal and shall not remove groves of trees or shelter belts without written approval from the affected landowner. For any trees removed, the applicant shall consult with the affected landowner to confirm the location and options for tree replacement, shall replace them at a ratio of 2 new trees for each tree removed. The replacement tree shall be of a similar species or is recommended by the Oliver County Natural Resources Conservation Service and Soil Conservation District. Replacement shall be completed within 1 year of tree removal unless otherwise approved by the NRCS and Soil Conservation District. The applicant shall monitor the survival of replacement trees for 3 years and replace any trees that do not survive after the 3 years. trimming or removal of trees within the public right of way to allow for safe construction of power lines is permitted and to mitigate carbon loss per DNV. So now I guess,
I wonder if it should say do not survive during the 3-year period instead of after the 3 years.
Yeah, because at some point you're gonna have to
how about just
retime frame.
remove after and put do not survive the 3 years.
That works.
So at some point you're gonna have to leave them over the possibility of those trees.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think if any of them die after 3 years, then that's
That's on the landowner.
right, yeah.
Anything else on this?
No, I think that was the only other thing. So erosion's gonna get copied, the weed plan is gonna get copied. All of them, so then when we do the data center and solar,
Our road program, all that's in there, yeah.
Does anyone here have any comments?
For the best.
And the best input plans?
Oh, thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome to help.
This is new all around.
Yeah, we're a lot of years here. Don't be shy.
We can move on to the
And
window.
then I guess our other question on that section that I just read off was the authority we have to enforce that.
But we talked about that, didn't we?
That supporting documents that I printed you is
Okay.
all from the NRCS,
Okay,
NDCC, and from the Soil Conservation. So we do have the authority.
Okay.
They have the authority to say what kind of trees.
perfect.
Okay, let's move on to the wind energy then.
So wind energy, the first edit after that trees and authority. Is under 24-4 financial assurance. So this one says a cash bond of 5% of the total project, rather than the 100,000. And the reason I did 5% is because that's what the PSC does. The PSC requires 5%. So I just matched. Instead of trying to change the wind too much or, worry too many people that are already involved in permitting process and things like that. I just figured we'd match the PSC that's already there. Except for our 5% is not to necessarily cover the decommissioning because the 5% bond that they have to have with the PSC is for decommissioning. Ours is
Protection.
a financial surety for the reclamation, enforcing the ordinance, weed control, and road maintenance. So it is one thing I was thinking about driving over here. I think we should add in here. So I know there's probably going to be a lot of people that disagree with it, but I feel like NextEra, I'm not real familiar with these guys' scenario and where they're working at, but NextEra is obviously having phases of projects going over the winters. So they're starting back up on something that they left off on last year. I feel like because these roads are modified in order for them to get their equipment in and out, and then they're left the way they are when they pack everything out, I feel like they should maintain them through the winter so that they're ready to go for themselves in the spring, rather than them leave them basically in a really rough condition. And then we've got to deal with it over the winter. We get a good frozen one all winter, we might be fine. If it warms up and it gets nasty, winter here is from the end of September to May, so that's literally the county still maintaining the road, and it's being, from what I've driven out there and seen, and what I've been told, they're leaving them in pretty bad shape because other people have said, oh no, that's good enough for this year. and then it's really not. So I think we should add in here somewhere that they are required to maintain the roads over the duration of it, the construction
The
of it.
road use and maintenance agreement that we typically have them sign
Mhm.
does say that, it's through the duration of the project. They're supposed
Right,
to do
but
that.
from watching the meeting, somebody is scapegoating, thinking that when they pack out, that it ends.
Right,
But it don't. If
Yeah.
it takes 5 years for them to build everything they were approved to build, they're taking care of those roads for the whole 5 years.
Right.
And I think we should also, I've seen in, I don't know exactly where it's at in the original ordinance or in the road use, but there's been a lot of talking about not being able to find the right quality of material here for the roads.
Mm-hmm.
They need to bring it in from somewhere then, because we shouldn't put substandard material down because we don't have the good stuff here. They can haul it in. I mean, if we need, better crushed stone and you can't get crushed stone here, they can set up a crushing site and they can start crushing their rock to make their own crushed stone, or they can haul it in. Those are my opinions on those things.
There's been a lot of talk about that. My opinion may not be very popular, but the county roads, they hauled some really poor gravel onto the Hanover Road.
Who did?
The county did 3-4 years ago. That's what was on there when this company moved in. Now are we asking them to improve the road over what it was? That's
I would
my
say
question.
yes, 100%, if they're gonna be driving 120,000 pound 80-wheel trailers in there,
But I
all
mean-
stuff on there.
I mean, leave the roads better than they found. We put better gravel on than was on there when they came.
Well, in my opinion, there's a road that's in bad shape because of the county's neglect.
Please, thank you.
In my opinion, if that is a road that the wind energy needs in order to build their facilities, they need to bring it up to spec to what they need to do it. And then they need to maintain that until the end of the project. And when it's done, they need to leave it in at least that good a condition or better. Not better than it was before they even got the permits and the condition of the county. They need to upgrade it. That's the courtesy they're gonna give to the county for being able to put those things here. It's fair. They wanna come here and with this industry and make this money, then they need to give something to the county to make it worth it for the county. And that's a better road. It's a better road for the landowner, it's a better road for the county, it's a better road for the mailman. It's for everybody. In my opinion, I don't see why they should be able to.
When they use section lines, they generally have to improve them because section lines are like minimum maintenance line,
Right.
so it's the same thing, it's a different road.
I'd like to extend maybe Bill's question just a little bit. If the material that's in the county, available for the county, say our road department, is class 5 and they're requiring class 13, and we don't have that class available to us, I think your point is, how do we force them when we don't even have it ourselves? We're putting,
Does that matter? That's like
but we're putting a
competition.
lower grade on our road to begin with, but we're requiring them to put higher grade on them when we even have it available to ourselves. So we're not up to standard ourselves.
In my opinion, I don't know why that matters,
I'm just asking, I mean, it's,
because,
Well, there's no
look,
like,
I drive by the county highway building every time I come to town, and I haven't seen any trailers or trucks in there that have 80 wheels underneath it.
Yeah.
That are driving on these roads, so
they
if they
truck
wanna be able to
everything
bring,
else in.
right, if they want to bring that heavier equipment in, they need to make the road adequate. Doesn't, because, the county didn't have good enough stuff, we shouldn't either, that doesn't even matter, that's.
The way, sorry to interrupt, but the way I'm looking at what Matt's saying is that our roads are maintained for farmers, for us. They're not maintained, or we don't put the highest quality down for the big trucks and everything coming in. So yes, if they're going to use our roads, I would say that they would have to put something down
Well, let me ask this.
better.
Who do we contact to get them rubber road counters out there? So when they're out there working, we can get a count and we can compare it to when they're not here.
the state usually brings those in.
Right, so we get a road
I've seen
counter
them
out
on the
there.
Price Road.
Yeah. And I'm not sure, but when they set them up double, they're able to tell what kind of vehicle it is. Because
got it.
those counters have an algorithm and they can say, doom, 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 18-wheeler, doom, doom, truck. So make them pay to put that out there, so if they wanna try to get out of making a better road, they need to show us they're really not using it that much.
One of the problems we've been having is, it's, with Nextera, there's a 30-ton bridge out there. And I keep trying to go over, and that's how it happened when we went back to work this spring. It came in when it was muddy, and took 150,000 pound loads and went right over that bridge and didn't even get permits. How do we know that those bridges aren't structurally damaged?
Well, like they were talking about in the commissioner meeting that I was in, did anybody invite the sheriff out there to look and write them a ticket for doing it, so that way Patrick could follow up on it? Probably not.
Probably not.
That needs to be done.
I know.
I mean, because you're not gonna get it on the paper that it happened if nobody goes out and fills out anything. So now we're just talking about it months later instead of having a paper trail from the date it happened, who knows about it, who's seen the truck.
So I guess the only thing that I have to say on the road use and maintenance is that while we could put something within our ordinance, we as planning and zoning don't get to dictate that agreement. That is between the county commissioners, the state's attorney, and then the companies and their attorneys. Definitely good suggestions to bring, because I know that they're talking about changing the road use agreement and updating it and making it better. But that's kind of where we run into the jurisdictional authority of planning and zoning and what zoning authority versus the road authority. And it ties together with projects, but it's still kind of separate, so.
Right, so I guess in my opinion, since we're an advisory board working on the ordinance, talking about the roads, I'm advising that should be changed.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Definitely at least a good recommendation to bring to them and see how that can fit into the, an updated road use agreement for sure.
Well, and then there's that one particular road where they talk about they've dug it up and tried to put stuff down and it keeps settling and going in.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's something, how's that gonna be in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if they just fix it now so they can use it.
I think that this is my opinion. I think it's something that we shouldn't even have in ours. That should be through the road agreement. And the reason I say that, if we get federal funding to put a road back in Oliver County, through FEMA, through state, through federal kind of funding, and they require a certain product and we don't have it, somebody could say, well, then you're gonna truck it in from Minnesota or Montana or wherever you're gonna go to get it.
Well, that's
Now we're following, we have to follow that standard also.
Even you're crossing the line between a private wind energy company and federal grants and contracts. It's not me being a private contractor. I don't have those types of, I guess, stipulations. I get where you're going with it, but I don't think anybody's going to be able to say because of this or because of that, because wind energy has nothing to do with us trying to get a road put in. And then the federal government has nothing to do with it. How gravel roads being repaired.
But how do we as a board force them to go higher than what we do our own standard?
It isn't,
Well, it's
like
not
she
in
said,
here.
we can't,
So
we
this-
can't.
This
No.
portion of the road use and maintenance in this particular ordinance and any other one doesn't have anything in here about the specific class, because that has to be approved in the road use agreement with
So
the
the road
commissioners and the road.
So yeah, this is
That's-
just, that's the only reason I'm
Yeah.
mentioning is because we mentioned the road use agreement.
Okay.
I think
We might not have any authority over it,
Yeah.
but if we're planning and zoning and we're asked to do these types of things and make a plan, come up with ideas, and make it enforceable, we should at least try to
Make sure it's in,
make all of it matches the same type of enforcement.
it's all in the
Right.
enforcement laws.
heavy loads like they're bringing in, it's just common sense that they would have a road base that would actually
Right.
hold.
I mean,
Yeah,
if I'm
heavy
putting in an
load.
underground storage tank that's gonna hold fuel and I can't get pea gravel from that county, I'm trucking it in, I have to.
But you can't like take these very large loads over the goat path. You have to have
And that's,
a road
again,
bed
that's gonna
that's
be one of the
hold.
things that's gonna have to be in the road use agreement. And then we can enforce it by stating, just like the weed portion, if you read the weed portion, it says they have to do it with the guidance of the weed board. But it's just in our ordinance because we're the ones that vote and authorize the CUP, we're the ones that vote and authorize the building permit. So this is the structure of how they get that permit put in place. The weed board decides the weed portion, the road use agreement does the road maintenance portion. I guess when it comes down to the erosion in the tree, so erosion's gonna be a North Dakota entity too. It's gonna be, the soil conservation. So we're just trying to mention that they have to get these other county experts, state experts involved in their process so that the best interest is done for the county. That's literally all we're trying to do is enforce what's in the best interest of the county and the state. And then we have these other boards and entities and organizations that specialize in these other things. So we reference them having to get permission, permits, guidance from them because we're not experts in it. Just like, again, with the water usage, so the next section is water usage.
Right after the
So again, this is one of the ones I think that had some of the references in that other documentation. Most of this is all, like you guys said, it's all guided by the PSC and the State Water Board. So this just pretty much makes the state the authority, but then they have to still notify. They don't have to get our permission fully, but they have to give us full notification of everything. If that makes sense. And I think on my notes, pumps with the permit numbers and information from the user, notification with proof for the CUP approval, the State Water Board has the permitting ability. So one of the things I did find in doing a lot of this research, this gets a little bit outside, I guess, planning and zoning, but Oliver County can have a regulatory fee for this water, but they can't charge a tax or a usage fee. So if Oliver County wanted to make money off of the water pumping, they could consult somebody to come up with a regulatory requirement to where Oliver County gets paid for the water. But you can't tax it and you can't charge a usage fee. So like you can't charge by the gallon or something. You can just charge one stipulated fee. 1,000 gallons to 10,000 gallons, $500. 10,000 gallons to 25,000. $750, you can just a regulatory fee. If they want the water, that's what they pay. So if they get a 5 million gallon usage from the state, the regulatory fee is going to be for 5 million gallons.
I think the local water resource board is having a meeting next week. Pretty sure.
So they
So I think they're actually going to be discussing what they can do as a county, versus what the state is doing. Because I know I believe there are a few things that, Mike Teets was at the last meeting. He's on the local water resource board, and he said there are things we can do and there's things we can't do, and they're looking into that. So, but there again, in here it says, what the water resource board permits is.
Yeah,
So this is just enforcing that or helping to enforce that.
Right.
But we do gain a little bit of income from it already through a permit application at a cost.
Or
Well, planning and zoning commission is part of the conditional use permit application, and they pay for the permits.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're gaining some,
right, but
could be possibly more.
Aspect of it.
one time the city was looking at possibly selling.
So yeah, that's why it
Access
went
water.
from being so small to so big, because I incorporated the state stuff into it. I guess this kind of has its own proof that we do have it in here, but even we're telling you that the state is the boss when it comes to making that decision.
Which I think is okay, because it makes it easier for everybody to find it then. Say,
Well, it
the
allows
state
us.
has this, and we can
And
point
we-
to where.
Right, and it also states the notifications we want, because we do have that ability as the county. We might not be able to, permit it, but we can ask for notification once you get an approved permit.
That would be great.
So, I guess the next one I had was change all of the special uses to the conditional.
Oh yeah, update it to say conditional
Yeah,
use.
that was my next step. I never replaced it under that. And then under additional application requirements, 24(9), the third one, I had removed the zoning administrator and put in
Planning and zoning commissioner board, I think, right?
Yep, so now it, instead of saying approved by the zoning administrator, now it says approved by the Oliver County Planning and Zoning Board and Oliver County Commissioner.
Yes. In the section right before that, you have a planning and zoning commission. And then in that section, you have planning and zoning board.
From a 20,
Just under number one, under 24.9. That 3 and 4 underneath that, one says planning and zoning commission, and then in that second one, it says board.
Here it's got planning and zoning commission, on this one, you're planning and board.
is that to support?
It's been used both
Either
ways.
one is correct, you should just stick with one.
Well, right, yeah, I mean, we don't have to be consistent. So the water usage plan, I guess we were just talking about that, but yeah, the state authority and having the water usage plan with their permit. So plan identifying the sources and locations of water for dust control, weed control, and other project needs shall be submitted, including evidence of compliance with the state water board and the Oliver County Water Board ordinances, as well as landowner notifications.
In 2411, sorry, I'm like skipping forward. Planning and zoning board shall. Sorry.
I think change the name to the water resource board.
Okay.
The county resource board, I think the state is probably the same too. Because I feel a lot of commission, but I know the county one. Yeah, Lauren came in and asked me
So
to
the state
change.
water board is changed to the
No.
state.
It's resource board, don't we? It's still.
The
county
the
is.
county one is the water resource board. Lauren came in and asked me to change it.
Oliver County resource. What else do they oversee besides water?
Nothing.
Anyone sound like the water company?
Is that everything then?
I think for the changes, that was,
Yeah.
Okay. I'll ask again for comments from our guests.
Well, thank you, yeah. So, I just wanted to go back to the financial assurance section. So the 5% requirement, that is, as you mentioned, duplicative of the requirement that the PSC has. And so, I fully understand the intent of wanting this money kind of set aside for the county's purposes. But the previous version that was being discussed last week was at, I believe, 100,000. And with the 5% of total project cost, that is bumping that cash bond up into millions of dollars at this point. And it is duplicative of what the state is already requiring. So that is just a really big hit to the project financials, to have multiple requirements for $1 million commitments.
Did you call and see what the cost of $1 million bond was?
I have not.
Well, I got a $984,000 bond that cost me $8,600. So I mean, the cost of your bond would be, you know, 10 grand, not $1 million.
Understood. But at this point, I don't have any like solid numbers in front of me. Just pointing out that is a pretty high requirement, and it would be required
But they're
both ways.
for different things.
Yeah,
Right.
this is actually for making sure the weeds are taken care of, the roads are taken care of, all of that. So it's a different purpose for the bond. But like you said, it's not a duplicate. It might duplicate the amount, but it's not for the same purpose.
Sure. Yeah, understood. The purpose different. Just for looking, strictly from a project financial standpoint, that would be a larger hit than the 100,000 bond that we were talking about last week.
Yep.
I can see your point, but I think 100,000 is too low.
Didn't it say 100,000 or 5%?
No, that's on the
That's
best.
on the
That's on the
That's
best.
on the best for, well, I guess for the decommissioning, because the state doesn't, I don't think they have a best ordinance yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I've matched what other states are doing.
So other states are requiring 5%.
And some of them are a lot bigger, some of them are talking like, $6 million bonds. So I mean, whatever that would cost. But again, it kind of varies between, 200 kilowatts and 600 megawatts. I mean, that's a substantial difference between, 1,000 and.
Yeah.
So you're going from a small $3 million one up to potentially, like she said, a $300 million facility. So it's kind of, that's why I did either or, whatever was higher, because we don't necessarily always know how big the project's going to be. And that's under the tier 2 for the bigger project. So that, like, for instance, if you wanted to do one of these at your place and have your own solar panel, you would be a tier 1, so you wouldn't be under that stipulation,
Yeah.
like an industrial outfit would be.
Can you give us an idea?
Well, this is gonna get put out to the public, so you'll be able to come back and have public comment, that'll give you time to research, see how much a bond would be for that amount, and be able to actually, because I don't do what you do, so I've gotta go off of averages and analytics from all over the country where this is more predominant than here. And I know we're in North Dakota and everybody, it's cheaper in North Dakota because it's North Dakota. Well, if you build this thing in New York, it's gonna be a lot more money, and that's why they're building it in North Dakota, is because they can do it cheaper here. But we wanna have the same protections as those places do, all it is.
Can you give us a rough idea of the cost of the project? Within 100,000.
Well, last week when we were here, the other gentleman that was with you said it was confidential what it cost to decommission one. So,
To decommission it?
when we were talking about it last week, we were talking about how much it would cost to decommission And because on our wind energy one, the PSC, like he said, the PSC covers the decommissioning bond. So we weren't asking for that. But when I asked him how much it cost to decommission one, he said it was confidential. So I mean, is the actual cost of a project confidential?
I mean, it will be disclosed when we apply for a permit.
Right.
So at this point, I just don't have like the exact numbers.
Well, this
right
would be
in front
one
me,
of
but
those situations to where the industry that wants to do the work here would probably want to share that with the board that's creating the rules and regulations so that, you know, we're not wasting a month of a special meeting to then come and find out that, oh, that just costs too much. That's going to be restrictive on the industry. We're not going to be able to do it. Well, I mean, if you can just give us a number, we can see what is in the best interest of the landowner and what's in the best interest of you at the same time and come up with a number. Because at this point, for our protection, we're always going to go with the higher one. And if it's higher than yours, we're just stuck with the higher one because we didn't know. And we wanted the maximum amount of protection. So we made it as high as we could. And that's how I guess I look at it, is if we don't know how much your stuff costs, we are going to ask for the maximum amount of protection because it's unknown.
right. Yeah.
It's a
So
risk for both of us.
Well, 5% of one is the same, you know, I mean, it's 5%. It's
Right.
a big project or small.
Right.
You know, but
So yeah, I mean, if you could give us a number, I can call my insurance company and ask them how much the $300 million bond is. I'm sure they could tell me. I mean, if it was, you know, like for the best, if theirs is going to be that big, I'm just curious how much the cost would be for the project owner. I mean, because if it costs, you know, $80,000 for a $300 million bond, I mean,
right, and so
doesn't seem like
that's
that
the
high
piece
of a
that I would
number.
just have to look into.
Well,
I
exactly.
know that based on just strictly, you know, looking at 5% of anticipated project costs, rough estimates at this point, that does put us in millions of dollars range. But I don't know how that translates to what
Right.
an insurance company might say.
What percentage are responsible for to carry that bond, is what you're saying. Who knows what the insurance is gonna require
Right, I don't
from
know
you?
that at this
Right,
point.
exactly.
What percentage of that 300 million bond you gotta put up front? So, same with what my bond is for my company. They carry a $2 million bond. In fact, I was at 5, so I would pay a percentage of that.
Right.
Annually. So, I guess without a phone call to your insurance and financial group, it's gonna be hard to put a number to that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well, can I also make a comment on the
Yes.
water piece? So the water, providing copies of the state water permits and the water usage plan, fully understand that the interest there in the county being notified. The only thing that I will point out is that the project's EPC contractor is usually the one responsible for deciding where to source the water and actually obtaining those permits. And so as it's written right now, the requirement is to submit the permits prior to CUP application. But a lot of projects will not actually have those permits at that time because they would happen much closer to the building permit and construction process.
that makes sense. I think it depends on what the weather's like too.
So what if
It's
you
really
get
not
approved to
dry.
build, what if you get approved to build a project and then the state says, no, you can't have water? Then
But
you
we
can't
wouldn't,
have
we
water.
wouldn't actually be able to build until we come back and get those building permits from the county.
So who is EPZ?
Engineering, procurement, and construction contractors.
Would it be before the building permit? Would you guys get those or
Yeah,
just not the conditional use?
correct, yeah, our
Okay.
request would just be to switch that
Switch
language
it
to
from
building
CUP
permit.
CUP to building. Okay. And that
Which
makes
section
sense.
was that in?
you get some,
Well, I'm under water usage, but I got one,
It's
2, 3,
the
4.
two,
notification requirements.
notification requirements, yeah.
Yeah, and then, under number 1 as well, shall shall be submitted to planning and zoning as part of the conditional use permit application.
This one, yeah, I just changed it. Thank you for that input.
Thank you for considering.
Well, it makes sense because conditional use, we're just doing ag to industrial, you know, I mean, so you really don't have the logistics.
Water use would depend on the weather too.
Right. So.
Get a season like we just had the last week.
Yeah.
Right, I don't want
Tsunami.
Yeah, that's the only place conditional use
So
was
much
at.
for road watering.
I'm sorry?
Is that the only place conditional use was at?
In the water, we had it in,
I don't see it in section 2.
No, what's that in section 2?
I got the one in section 1.
Number 4, there's water usage plan shall be submitted. I would think that's kind of similar. A water
Yeah.
usage plan would be at the time of building also.
Yeah.
It's at the bottom,
Yeah.
the bottom paragraph. Any other
Any other concerns?
suggestions?
One last one, so I don't believe this was discussed, but in section 24.12, changes of ownership. So that would only come into play, you know, if a project were to be sold or change hands. But it looks like the previous language was to notify the county within 30 days of the transaction, and then this version has now changed to 30 days prior to sale or transfer of ownership. And so that 30 days prior is a little bit concerning just because those are like confidential mergers and acquisitions that are happening. And I don't know that companies would be able to disclose anything prior until those confidentiality clauses.
When you're
Have been fully
talking, how
executed.
big are you talking? Because usually that's all SEC and then they have to publish it
Correct.
for public comment too. So if it's that big of an acquisition or merger, it's gotta be publicly notified too by SEC. So I mean, the
Yeah,
dollar
right.
amount doesn't have to be, but just knowing that something's gonna be happening is what this is asking for.
Correct, although I think that nothing, from my understanding of this, nothing really is published until those deals have actually closed. And so the previous requirement to do it within 30 days of the transaction, that makes total sense. But 30 days prior seems like it would
Yeah.
violate some of those confidentiality requirements.
Yeah, because they can't disclose who's gonna get the property. But letting us know after is what we're requesting, right? Yeah,
Well, I don't know, I kinda like it the way it is because there's aspects of, I guess, bad companies that we wouldn't want to come in and
but
potentially
that's
buy
not
because
that's not our choice. We don't
If they're
have,
already here and then they change ownership, there's not much we can do.
yeah, there's not much.
well, they've also got to go through the county commission too. So how do you think it should be worded?
Well, the transfer and, sorry to interrupt, the transfer of ownership, like, the building permit's here. I mean, everything is here, but they have to transfer it over. We have no control.
No, not the transferring over, but just being told that it's gonna happen. I guess.
Well, it doesn't matter though. I mean, regardless, we already approved it. So, the
Well,
building.
I know, but I guess what I'm saying is this was Isn't the change of ownership in the original one?
Yeah,
It's
but
just
it
this is
says
worded
instead
one.
of prior, it says within 30 days.
this 30 days
Yeah.
of the sale. It doesn't
I
say
mean,
prior.
we can do that if you change it back to within.
Yeah, within 30 days of the
I mean, I
sale.
guess that's your point, at least you have notification when the company's changing or name
But
changing
the
or.
confidential, like
They don't
just
have
with
to tell it, they don't-
handling deeds,
Yeah.
That's the thing, they don't have to tell you who it is,
Yeah.
they just gotta tell us you're about to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
There's no stipulation saying you have
Deeds
to
and everything, wouldn't
tell us.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
deeds
yeah.
or bonds or.
deeds, everything will have to
They
be
have to sign
changed.
new leases probably, if it's a different company and have a name,
What
unless they
are-
just
what
absorb,
are restrictions?
if somebody absorbed.
Transfer, or would
the-
they
the
have to do
company.
this stuff all over again? This would go with it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, yeah. It's
Well,
just
and
a
this is-
stipulation because of the type of industry, we wanna know it's happening.
We're going to assume that this would happen after everything is built. You wouldn't
Right.
change ownership of a project
You never know,
mid-construction.
you
Yeah.
never
I
know.
wouldn't
know.
I wouldn't
Well,
change. Well, look at,
Somebody
I
decides
suppose the
they're-
wind tower start,
I'm in the right area. I'm trying to bond my cousin out.
not here.
No.
Is it on the other side?
Is it the sheriff?
The sheriff might be here, yeah, it's on the
I'll
other
go
side.
Other
check.
side of the building, yeah.
Okay.
You can just cut through
If you
here.
changed in,
Oh. Well, thank you. Sorry.
As a project plan, like for our life, you know, and then it changed to next year, or look at Summit Carbon, you know, they had different subsidiaries.
Well, a
one,
big
two,
corporation
three.
that does gas stations in North Dakota just sold for 1.9 billion. And they've already come up with a deal and agreed on a deal. But it's still gotta be approved by the SEC because it's a monopoly type of situation. And,
And it does happen that.
right,
in
but
the
they,
middle of
I
a
mean,
project.
right, there
and they
could be
change hands.
something that's gonna happen to where, yeah, somebody will come in and buy it.
I
in the
would
middle
sure,
of
I
construction.
would assume that the legal department would know how to file.
Right, right. So again, this isn't saying, I guess, a stipulation that you can or can't do it, it's just, they wanted, you know, we want notification.
At some, I mean, within the 30 days would be, I think, suffice.
Otherwise, the only notification we're getting is when those deeds
Deeds
come
come in.
to our office, because we have to individually transfer each one and sign off on them. So, I mean, we get notice that way, but it'd be nice to have a courtesy notice.
Well, I guess reading that just 30 days prior to sale, within 30 days, it just seems like it's the same thing. It's just
Well-
worded differently.
Prior to sale, I mean, they haven't even signed the documents to do the sale. And that's the confidential part of it.
You know, what's the 30-day period?
The 30
Right, I
days
know that.
after, so the sale has been signed.
I know that,
So-
but I'm saying that that's the tricky part. You
Oh,
get-
it's just 30 days after the sale. I mean, what we had it before.
Yeah,
We're talking
So you
before the
wanna,
sale.
you wanna
or after.
change it to
After
say,
the sale.
Yeah.
It would be after the
well, this
sale.
doesn't say sale, it says transfer of ownership. Sale or transfer of ownership.
no, 30
No,
days
30
prior
days
to
prior
sale
to
or
sale or
transfer.
No, that's what I'm saying, it says sale or transfer of ownership, not just sale.
No.
Well, regardless, sale or transfer of ownership would be confidential prior.
You can change it back.
Anything else?
I don't think so. You thinking, Tyler?
I guess thank you, again, on the water usage section 2, is there, maybe this is more of a water board question, but I could see the notification requirement being a little bit challenging for very long linear features, depending on what the resource is. So if there is a way to better define or perhaps apply a radius to an affected, water source and
I think
who need to be notified.
We talked about that last time, like he said, you don't notice that there's gonna be a change until it happens. So I think everybody that would be affected within the county from that, there was that one, was it a creek that you
Mhm.
mentioned that runs a really long distance?
Yeah. Square
So I guess, how many actual miles does it run? And if it snakes a lot, does it snake on the same property?
Quite a bit.
No, it starts, Square Creek starts up, it's out of Hazen and runs all the way to the Missouri River. It comes all the way down through Center, down Dakota
That's
Power,
the
If they
credit
suck
cross on
through
25.
town, through the power plant,
So realistically, if they suck too much water out of it, who's gonna be affected by that?
Everybody
A lot of
downstream.
including, power, including Harmon Lake, including, that's,
Yep.
I don't know what square footage
I
of
think
ground it
everybody that's
covers.
gonna be affected should be notified. If they're 15 miles away and their water can just be gone one day, they should know that it could happen. They
Does
should have
Cora
some type of
engineers
notification.
regulate that kind of water usage?
Not in
Not
those types of tributaries, no.
The State Water Commission controls that or monitors it.
But your Cora doesn't have anything to say about
No, because that's not core land.
it. It's not a-
I know the last permit that was pulled out of center, was pulled out of the creek here,
If
it
you
was
had to
monitored by
guess,
State Water Commission. And then they notified, they had to check to see if there was like use permits, irrigation, watering, animals.
Yeah. Which there weren't very many.
There wasn't many.
And now I think there's more.
Yeah. Several people have signed into it. At that point, they have to
notify the map.
because they're gonna take into consideration how many inches of water you can use a year, because what their permit allows.
It doesn't show the creeks on that map.
No. So it's just not so small that they don't put it on there, it's just.
No, it just,
have it.
that map doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's
It might be.
I don't know, how many landowners do you think that would affect?
a lot.
I know, how much is a lot? There's only 1,800 people.
Well, would it only affect, it would affect a lot, but would it only apply to the ones that have filed that form that says, we have livestock or whatever use? That
You know,
the
there's-
water
You wanna
commission
try to
has-
word it to where they have to ask for that list of people? And then
Yeah,
send a
that's
notification to them?
You know,
I just feel like that's one of those things that they should do. I
well,
mean,
it
they're gonna
should be,
come
and
here.
they know where all the landowners are when they wanna put a project
Exactly, and
somewhere.
they find more of them when they wanna add more.
I know it affects me, just, I'm on that creek. And I have a irrigation permit that I can pull 12 inches of water per acre per year. There's no water in the creek, I can't pull water.
Right.
So
They
they,
wanna be
but
notified, right?
that's all monitored by the state. They came and checked even here in center when they were pulling last time. You live right on it. You seen the water was gone,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was empty.
We were
But there was
downstream.
also, there's also a part of that permit that says, if it's recoverable water, so once they stop pumping and they're still flowing into it from above, it's really not considered a over pumped. It's recurringly filling, so it will,
It just-
1 day, 2 days, 5 days, the water level will be back to where it was. So they can't just stop the pumping, but if they reverse the flow, at that point they can stop it. So I think I think that's something that should be permitted through the water board, recognized by us, but that's gotta be a permit pulled by the water board. So that they're monitoring it, they control it, they're the ones that say how much water you can use out of that area.
Yeah, this is the only thing they're stipulating, is they don't wanna have to tell everybody.
It's not that we don't want to tell everyone,
It
it's
says, how do you?
how, and it
Look
is
at the
the
map,
manner.
I got a plat map at home that has an address of every single person that lives, and you
Well,
pay a guy to sit there, an intern, to know what to highlight and highlight every name.
Did you-
And
I
then
know the date.
it gets a mailing.
Oh, it's
Thursday.
next Thursday is a
Is our-
report.
Every one of the landowners have to pay taxes. They're on a list at the tax office. You have somebody call there, you get their mailing address, and you mail it to them. I mean, there's 1,800 people in the state. How many people can live between point A and point B?
How many people own land in Oliver County?
Yeah.
There's people all over the country own land in Oliver County.
Right,
They don't live here.
but we're talking about the affected waterway. So
But like
if
you-
there's 90 people that own property along that, that's 90 letters. It don't seem like a burden or impossible, honestly.
Did you say that there's a list of people that would be affected though with the original permit? Or with the permit from?
If they filed that form with the state water department.
Yeah, so each landowner that may be affected by water usage along any sort of water source has to fill out a form that goes to the State Water Commission that says we use it for livestock or we use it for irrigation, because it would take kind of like a primacy. So if a permit comes in to use that water for watering roads or however they use it, the state looks at well, we have this list of landowners that takes primacy, you can only pump this much, or you can't pump any at all this year.
But they could get that
With that being
list.
said,
Yeah.
I think that list.
Yeah, they could get that list and then, okay.
so I guess
Privacy.
from my experience dealing with the state, are they always gonna be informative? Are they gonna tell the landowners when something's going on?
No, I'm saying, do
So-
they contact the state for that list?
I guess I would be fair with changing it to you guys obtaining that list and sending it to those people versus everybody along the waterway. I mean, but if after people watch this video, they wanna change that. It's a public
So
meeting,
did I
I'm
do it?
probably gonna have it changed back, honestly. And then we can put it to vote. Cause I'm gonna always vote what's in the best interest of the landowner every time.
Well, my
And
thing
water
is,
has been brought up multiple times by
It has.
different people. It's been at county commissioners, they brought up water.
Oh, it's
The
a real
board-
issue.
Yeah,
Still is a real issue.
right, so I think it needs to be addressed, and if sending out some
But as-
letters is the difference between,
Mm,
you know, somebody, you know, got an 89-year-old farmer out there, then his water stops, what he's gonna do, run the runnings and get a 1,000-gallon tank and hook it to his well and fill it. No, we shouldn't have to do that.
but as the landowner, I think it's their responsibility to do that application and then they can get that.
How are they gonna know the windmill's happening if they don't get notified?
No, they keep it on file, don't they? Or is it just for that project?
I'm trying to get back
Yeah.
before that. How does the landowner know he needs to fill that out
What's,
and send it in so that he can get informed if something's gonna happen? Is that like,
Do they have to do it
they
every
teach
time?
you at
I
4-H,
don't know
you
how
send that
long,
letter in every?
I don't know if that, you
You're
have
actually
to,
supposed to
every year.
apply for that if you're gonna water out of the creek or a waterway. You're supposed to apply for that. That's supposed to be notified through the water commission already.
Okay, so I guess
So
what are you
I don't
talking
know
about
how
by being
often you have
affected versus the farmers using the water? So I mean, you're basically saying a farmer has to tell the water board that
The landowner is the one that has
that
to,
they're
or
gonna
the
have cattle
So we,
watering in it.
operator, yeah.
my husband and I have cattle. The creek runs through our farm. He filled this form out, sent it to the state and said, we use this creek for watering cattle, livestock, whatever. From what I understand, when he filled this out, it's a one-time thing and they have it on file under a file that probably says Square Butte Creek with a list of the landowners that filled out this form. Now, does everybody do it? Probably not. Have more people done it since last year? I'm thinking yes, but
I know
See, I guess that's my lack of familiarity. I'm just trying to do what's in the best interest
Yeah.
of everybody that's gonna be affected by it versus the industry. So, do they have to, so is that just a notification saying, hey, state, I use this water for this? Or are
It's
you asking for permission
no,
with the
it's
permit?
a form that
It's
says
just-
you're
it's just
using
that one
this
I gave
for.
you.
No, yeah,
So
well,
it's
you
just a
ended
note.
up taking it back, because you know, that copy.
I've
So-
got more.
So what about, say it was set up, you guys apply for a water permit, right? That you need to get a water permit, you're gonna use the usage. That has to become public notification. In the county, the state and the, you know, notified, I don't know if the water commission posts it or who. I mean, if it's coming through the building permit or our condition, there's gotta be a water permit with it. You know?
Really,
It's gonna go through your public hearing, it's gonna go through your board, it's gonna go, you know, at some point, it's the landowner's responsibility to monitor what's happening too.
No, I get
but
that.
not every landowner has to do it, because let's say your water quits flowing,
Mhm.
well, Joe Blow.
North of there might
On
not,
the creek, he's not gonna have water either.
Right.
you know, it's. I think a lot of the burden's gonna fall on the state. As far as what happens with that water flow. I mean, we had to call them into center when the water quit.
Yeah, so what did they come to do, put more water in there?
They stopped the pumping for one day.
Right.
The creek recovered. They cut it back to X amount of gallons of usage for that week
How long did it take?
for the creek to recover.
No, for something bad to happen before the state got here and put a stop to it. What was reaction time to the negative effect of the water?
It took about 2 hours from the time I made the phone call. People noticed the creek level was low. I called North Dakota State Water Commission. And he was in center within 2 hours
I will say that
to monitor and take flows.
So, yeah, I
within
guess-
this last year, the State Water Commission has been a lot more responsive than other entities have been.
So I guess
They're pretty
just
good.
sending a mailing to everybody that has that notification and sending the state would be fair.
It'd be fair. I
I'm
think
not
that,
trying to
think
be
it's their-
unfair.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to, I'm looking out for the people that can't come in here or don't have a voice because they're out there farming.
Which is
My-
our responsibility as
But-
the board.
my thing is just like with you guys use water, it's your responsibility to notify the state that you guys use the water. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So they can use that list
yeah,
to send out the
yeah. I
notices.
mean, yes, there's people in my area that,
Probably don't even.
I know this is happening up here, you know?
That's fair.
That was under
Pretty soon the trip
section two.
level goes down. Well, they don't know why. They don't know what happened.
Yeah, the notification requirements, I think you could just change that to, obtain the list from the State Water Commission and notify the affected landowners from that list.
So I'll just scratch out
That's just
all landowners, property adjacent to
Oh, the
list of landowners.
yeah. Yeah, it says when they were listed.
So is that better?
Notification to listed.
Seems more reasonable.
Yeah, just to get the list and let us know who you guys wrote on.
Working with the water commission is gonna be the biggest, you know. They might come in there and say, no, I deny all permit. They can say there ain't enough water flow for the creek this year that you might not be able to get a permit at all. You better put a well in, you know? I mean,
Or buy tankers of.
or haul water, or different type of roads for dust suppression. I mean, there's
There's a lot of things.
a lot of things that are gonna be way above our control also.
Okay, did you have anything else? I think we beat this to death now.
Yep.
But it's good to hear from the other side too.
It is, yeah.
We can't just one-sided.
Well, I think,
Well, there's always that, it's too restrictive because it's gonna cost too much. Well, we gotta have the person that thinks it costs too much tell us why they think it costs too much.
Right.
It's just a term being thrown around.
So thank you for coming in and letting us know.
Thank you for, hearing us.
I'd rather have open communication than after the fact, we have to call you and say, hey, we got a problem.
Does anyone have anything else?
Regarding me? We're just applying for changing some ag to residential.
Okay,
We filled the form out in April and we're told to come to May.
Yeah.
well, then it's not this May meeting, it's next week's May meeting.
Oh, I was.
And
This
who are-
this was a working meeting for.
Yeah, this was a study
This
agenda.
isn't
Maybe we
an
should have
actual-
asked them when they came.
I'm
sorry.
May 22nd.
An hour and a half.
Yeah,
It's
this
good though,
is.
'cause we're moving Delaware County, so at least we know what's going on.
Oh, yeah, there you go. We're sorry.
Yeah, this was a study period for these
Yeah.
moratoriums.
So did you guys fill it out and submit it to the?
What's your names?
Philippi.
I told them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen that.
When I filled it out in April, she said May 22nd, and I actually called today to confirm. And it's
I know you
this one.
called me today asking when the meeting was, but I didn't realize who you were
Sorry.
when you called.
Okay, so we have to come back next week?
Yes.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. This same place,
Thursday.
same
Yeah,
time?
same place, same time.
Same
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
Hey, sounds good.
Sorry?
Put them first on the list.
Yes,
Yes.
we'll get you right away.
You will be first on the
Thank you,
agenda.
guys.
Thanks.
No problem, sorry.
That's all right.
I wondered what they were here for.
Well, it was open meeting. I mean,
Well, I thought they might have had some comments about this stuff.
Yeah,
They could have been the people that were gonna sell the land for that.
Their bill.
On the payroll.
well,
Well, we got the June meeting rescheduled.
that's right, yeah. Anything works for me.
I'm going to be gone for the 26th. That's when we're scheduled to have our June meeting. I don't care when before that, other than if I have another meeting or something scheduled.
Don't do it the same as the steering.
No, that's not my plan. I don't want to do it that same day. honestly, I have this random thought today. Can we do it on June 9th? And then we have the commission meeting on the 10th, so anything that's at the June meeting just goes straight to the June meeting. And I would have time to notice in the paper if I need to. So,
Works for me.
I guess what are we gonna talk about in the June meeting then?
The only thing is,
there's
I might not have enough time for edits
let's see,
one day.
No, I think next meeting we're doing these two
I'm
ordinances.
gonna do these edits
Yep.
and then we're
And then
gonna,
the June meeting would be like any permits that come in, and we may look at
the solar.
a work
data center.
session or whatever.
okay.
Yeah, so it wouldn't go to the commissioners the next day.
The June 10th meeting is where these two would go to for their final reading and hopefully approval, so we don't have to redo this process
So we
over
have our
again.
first reading next week.
Next
Next-
Thursday
next
is the
Thursday.
first reading, public hearing here for these two ordinances. So what we did tonight is what we are presenting to the county commissioners after the first reading and approval or whatever here.
So do we have to redo notifications and restart the whole process over if after the next public
For,
reading in the meeting, somebody wants edits? If we had to edit it after the next meeting?
I think once you do the edits that we did, we should be good. Cause
Okay.
everybody
I think
was
so.
like,
yeah, that's
Was
what we
okay
did
with it.
these, because everybody that was here, we put in the input on these edits. This is what we as the board are recommending now to the commissioners for final approval and implementation for
So we
when.
need to try to
and
figure out
yes.
something else in between. So when we fully finish the rewrite on these,
Uh-huh,
we need to make sure our sectioning is gonna align. Where are we gonna put it at in the current ordinance? So we still have the subject of changing articles to sections or chapters or something.
which I think, for when you did us 24.
Yep.
And for Bess, let's call it 25.
But I actually started working on
Yeah.
another ordinance
Yeah.
and I skipped from 23 to 30
Okay,
and put future use there.
okay,
And I was thinking, start with these industry ones, like on 30.
okay,
So-
I'm fine with that.
So if we
That's-
end up,
opens up.
numbering wise, that's fine.
it'll leave you
Yep.
7 positions for maybe
Yes.
an industrial area
Yep.
and other.
and we can always
Yeah.
amend it
So you would
later
change
if-
the numbering on these to
30.
30 instead of.
There's a
Right,
30.1,
But with that
30.2.
being said, in order for them to get put into our ordinance, does that have to be adjusted to have 23 to 29 as future use? Because the current ordinance stops at 23. And if we wanna have 24 to 29 as future use, does it have to be approved to be put in there?
Well, if we approve it now, then if we agree that if you're going to
So the
start with
numbering,
30,
that's where you're sticking it out.
I know, but I'm just asking the
That's like-
legalities of what needs to be voted on.
Well, this is how, I mean, if this is how we're talking about it now, if that's how we plan to present it as 30
Yeah.
and 31 and so on, just in
Okay,
the
so
ordinance.
when I
that's in
redo
place.
these, I
Yep.
will do these as 30 and 31.
Yes,
Mhm.
yep,
So the other aspect of it is,
the section or the numbering.
well, the way I'm doing the decimal system on them versus using Roman numerals
Yep, yep.
mixed with decimals,
Yep.
mixed
yeah,
with bullet
it just goes
points.
to our,
I wanna figure out what we're gonna do with article and Roman numerals.
I like the decimal. It's
4.1,
cleaner.
So do we
It's
wanna
easier to
change
read.
it to article gets changed to section and section gets changed to subsection? So everything that's a section is gonna have a whole
yeah,
number.
section 1.
Everything that's a subsection is gonna have a decimal.
That works for
along that
me.
route.
That works for me.
Pretty much how the century code is too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm trying to match, so
Yes.
it makes it
You-
easier to flip through.
It's easier to find.
And I'll tell you what, when I got Century Code open on one monitor and I'm looking at Roman numeral, I'm always thinking of like, what Super Bowl was it? I don't think in Roman numerals, so I've got to like, X is this, V is this, the one before a V is the 4,
Yeah.
the one after a V
No,
is
I
a
think
6.
that's okay. I think doing it like this is just cleaner, it's easier to read, and it makes it
Easier to
easier
follow.
to find things instead
Flow,
of
yeah,
saying
the flow is good,
article
nice.
Exactly.
XVI.
So it'll be section and
Well, I saw the
subsection.
I and was like, would it be a typo here?
Now, you said commission meeting's the 10th, it's not the 3rd?
The June
No,
commission
they
meeting
were-
is the
they
tenth,
do it
in
the
the
second
paragraph.
Or second Tuesday, it should be the first Tuesday.
No, Thursday.
It's
Well, that's
Thursdays.
because
But the only
when I
reason there's
copy,
a 10
like from
is
certain
because
web pages,
I
it has
like
formatting in it.
County
Okay.
and for whatever control, whatever
Yeah.
Okay,
page,
because I got meeting the
without
second.
formatting doesn't always
I don't
work,
think
and
it
it
knows
tries to pull back.
Okay, why not?
Mine's aren't either.
Yeah, no, I think
I
there's
know
this
the
way
Mondays are hard.
better.
Who
I
knows
agree.
when I'm gonna
Let's
be on
start at
Monday.
30 and
Wait,
move
you-
forward
Okay.
with the rest of them.
Yeah.
And then when we reformat the entire ordinance, that's where we just
Or if you wanna call
reformat
it.
it to fit this.
It's just hard
And
for
we
me
just
to
make a
kind of-
note that
you
due
know,
to the, I don't know how you wanna put it, the pressing needs of passing an actual ordinance, we're doing it this way and we will reformat the
Is that
existing
okay if I
ordinance
just
to.
sign it?
Well,
It's
and
already
here's the other part,
scheduled.
when we're doing the steering committee and do this comprehensive plan, any of those sections and subsections in there that make references to this stuff need to match.
Yep, and then we can
Yeah.
definitely bring that up at those meetings.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, so on that note,
So are we gonna plan on
We
the
haven't adjourned yet.
9th?
if you want, if you guys are good with that, doing it on June 9th, I'm good with it because then we don't have anything for the rest of June unless we do a work session for the purpose of doing the other two ordinances that we've talked about, the solar and data centers. I'm good with it, and then we can knock a bunch of these permits out that we do have sitting there, and get them to the commissioners on June 10th, so people aren't waiting, and we're just get it out of the way and get it done with. Cause there's a couple of them that are in, that applied, and
When are we planning on that?
Yep.
Okay,
June 9th.
last call,
Last call.
meeting adjourned.
Okay, thank you.